Hi, I'd like to do my best to try to share with you some information that can help you heal. Because if you're like me and you're struggling with some type of chronic illness or just some type of long journey that you're going on and you want to make improvements, it becomes a little bit frustrating when you put all this work in and it's really hard to see the actual progress. How do you really gauge that progress? What can you do to help yourself see more tangible results when you're working on something that's not necessarily tangible? And what I came up with was a really simple system, and that's what I think too. When again we're sick, we want to do things that are simple for ourselves to help with this kind of thing. But I used a basic number system on a scale through 1 to 10. How was I feeling that day? If it was a really bad day, then obviously I'd mark that as a 10. And it's like, whew, today is not so good whatsoever. And I had a lot of 10s when I first started, and that was frustrating. But gradually, I started to have a couple 9s, maybe some 8s. Things lessened for me as I went along with my treatment for myself and through my healing journey. And again, this is over now probably almost close to 4 years. And I don't do the number system any longer because I've been better for so much of a good amount of time. But when I was really sick, it's really difficult to see that healing happening. So this was a great, again, simple way that I could just put up like a calendar on the wall with a quick dry erase marker and right up there how, again, I was feeling that day. And if it's even something else besides healing from an illness, like maybe we've got this goal, we want to feel less anxiety, or we want to feel better about ourselves in a physical way, like that's a little bit easier. I guess you can gauge maybe by how your clothes fit, how your body feels, things like that. But something like anxiety, it's like, well, how do you really gauge that? Again, going with a simple number system, like on a scale of 1 to 10, how are you feeling today with your anxiety? Today's a 10. What are you going to do to give yourself some more tools to help yourself through that process? And that is a lot of what the healing process is figuring out different tools that you can give to yourself to help in that process. And I think ultimately when I'm standing here now, I didn't realize exactly how sick I was either when I was so sick, because that had become my normal. So once I got myself out of that, I was like, whoa, man, I was really, truly sick. But I still had some like anger and a lot of different feelings about that I just, I was mad, very mad and very pissed off at God and just a lot of different things because of how that part of my life was. But I think now it's come to the place where I really turned the corner, and that's what it comes to with healing as well. I think what we can ultimately decide when we've healed, or when we can ultimately decide we've healed, is by looking back and seeing something no longer through the lens of anger and hate and guilt and shame and fear and all those bad feelings, but we can actually see that now through the lens of love and forgiveness and acceptance. And hey, maybe that actually was one of the best things that ever happened to me. Maybe it wasn't one of the worst things that I've ever gone through. And while I know, and again, in the moment, it's really hard to gauge if you're getting better, if you're doing the right things for yourself. I do think if you get still and quiet with yourself through meditation, things like that, you can actually hear if you are doing the right things for your body, and you'll know if you're on the right track. But if you want something a little bit more tangible, again, that number system is just a great quick way to do that for yourself, to give yourself that quick visual encouragement in addition to the internal encouragement that you probably would feel anyways. And as you're going through things and getting more healthy, you're going to also notice other things kind of disappear. And so for me, once I started to really heal, there were a lot of things that I did in the past that might not have been healthy habits that I shed as well. I shed some weight, I stopped drinking, I stopped smoking. I did used to smoke cigarettes, for those of you that don't know that. Different habits changed, different wants and needs began to emerge that were more in line with healing and taking care of myself too. So that's the other thing, is like once you get that snowball rolling and you start to take little bites towards your healing, you can get that momentum going, and then you'll see those numbers hopefully start to get better. Don't be discouraged if it's not a direct straight line up. That's the other thing I'd like to remind us of. For me, it was a lot of waves, very jaggedy line on my way out, but that can also be very frustrating for you when you're trying to get yourself out and then you have a setback. But just use those number systems and keep that belief that you can heal. If you need some more encouragement, feel free to reach out to me. I'm a really good cheerleader about this, I promise. But just know in your heart that you can get better. And that's really the most important thing here. Healing is possible. Anything is possible, but healing is something that I'm very passionate about, and I just want you to remember that it is possible. Take care.